It is prediction time on Monday Night Football, our first of the season. As is tradition for Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, to put them on the spot. And we're going to start with who's going to win the league. This is the easiest one, I think, isn't it, guys? Champions. Jamie's gone Liverpool. Gary's gone Arsenal. Why Arsenal, Gary?
I couldn't separate Arsenal, City or Liverpool. I think they're absolutely all in with equal chance of winning it. So I've got no certainty at all that Arsenal are going to win it, but they've been consistent over the last 3 years. They've been second. I do feel they'll get there at some point. Liverpool, watching them Friday night, I saw Carragher's point. The two fullbacks have got to settle in. They look a little bit open. They're going to be exhilarating to watch. They're going to score a lot of goals. City look like with Reinders, and if Rodri can come back and if they can keep Stones and Diaz fit with Haaland up front, they've got an unbelievable spine. So honestly, I couldn't separate them. So I just went for the team that I've been going for the last 3 years, feeling that they're very reliable.
Happen at some stage.
No, they're reliable and solid, and they're consistent, which I think is important.
Can you win a title being reliable and solid?
Well, they're consistently getting sort of high points totals and finishing second to great teams, Liverpool and City. So I think that for me, they've improved themselves. Gyökeres, I wasn't actually negative about Gyökeres at all yesterday. I saw some things in that game. I thought that De Ligt did well against him, so I thought De Ligt had a fantastic match. But there were moments where he was a bit uncomfortable with him, he was wrestling with him, and I think he'll do well for Arsenal. So Zubimendi didn't have his best game yesterday, but again, I think he'll slot in well. Declan Rice couldn't have been any worse yesterday. I think Arsenal have got the right material. They just have to sort that forward bit of the pitch out, and I think Gyökeres will.
Jamie, are you more or less confident on Liverpool, given what you've seen on this opening weekend?
Less confidence. It's not just the opening weekend, it was the Community Shield. It was a pre-season game against AC Milan. When I saw them things that I saw in the Community Shield, which is still a semi-friendly, if you like, I didn't think I'd see it on Friday night. That's what worried me a little bit, that I'm sure the manager's been speaking to the players in pre-season on the back of the Milan game, you know, the Community Shield, and to see it sort of, not 3 games running, but the 3 high-profile games, if you like, up until this stage. That did worry me a little bit. But I think if Liverpool fix that, they have got great firepower. There's no doubt about that.
You're not certain about them, though, are you?
I just said that right at the start of the answer.
No, I wasn't. Don't get on the defensive.
I'm not getting on the defensive. Just listen to what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying to you?
I've said that. Sure. I said a few days ago that I thought Arsenal would be Liverpool's biggest challengers. And I know it's only one game. Watching Arsenal the weekend, and listen, I thought it was a great result for Arsenal. But just the way they played was almost typical sort of Arsenal of last season. You know, win with a set piece, which is fine. The name of the game is winning games, but a real bit interesting over the next few weeks if we see them sort of open up a little bit more, create more chances and see how maybe they've evolved from last season. But I was really impressed with Manchester City. And I actually think it might be Manchester City who are Liverpool's closest challengers. OK, well, Liverpool fans are probably a little bit more confident than you are, Jamie, I think. Because Sky Sports has partnered with Fanalysis, an app where verified true fans known as fanlists share their opinions on their club. Guess what percentage of Liverpool fans think they are going to win the league? 92%.
Oh, that's pretty close.
What is it?
That's low.
They're feeling pessimistic. It's 95.
Is it?
95% of Liverpool fans.
But if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be thinking, because to be fair, I can't separate the top 3. And if I was Liverpool and they're going to get Isak, it looks like, then I'd be absolutely, you know, who are the 5% that are saying they won't win the league?
Me.
13%, incidentally, of Manchester United fans think that they will finish in the top 4.
13%?
13%.
OK.
Have we got 1% here?
Of course we have. I can't disappoint you. Honestly. I've got to come back here in 10 months and try and defend this.
I genuinely didn't know your answer to that.
So, Dave, we worked out before that I've done this now for 8 years and I've always had Manchester United in the top 4 every year. And it's a late change, but I think with a bit of science.
Go on, what's the science?
Well, last season, I remember watching Chelsea on the first game of the season, and at that point, no one had Chelsea, I think, finishing in the top 4 or 5. And I watched them against City and thought I saw something. I thought, that's not bad, that will do damage this season. That's a good team. And when I watched United yesterday, I thought the performance was very good. And I think they'll get a goalkeeper. I absolutely am banking. They'll not make the mistake of not getting a goalkeeper. And when they bring a goalkeeper in, and you've got those players up front that they had yesterday with that back line, I think with the 3 weeks that they've got and no Champions League football, no Europa League, I think Manchester United will surprise a few people. Last week I had them 6th to 8th, but I have changed my mind over this week. I thought that performance yesterday was a really good performance. I genuinely liked it. They were high energy. We saw some stats before. It's the first time they've kept a higher possession, or the first time they've kept 60% possession against the top 3 team for 10 years. I think they won 70% of the duels yesterday. First time they've done that for 9 years. 22 shots on target. They haven't done that for about 11 years against the top three. That was a dominant performance against the top three team. When United have beat top three teams in the last 5, 6, 7 years, it's always been smash and grab, sitting back, counter-attack, pinch a goal. That yesterday, they lost, but I value performance. I really value performance. If you perform like that, you'll win a lot of football matches. So for me, yeah, maybe it's a little bit of bias because of who I support, but I thought I saw something yesterday similar to what I saw last season with Chelsea when they lost to City. I thought Chelsea will be a good side this season, and I'm not sure Chelsea are going to find it as easy with the World Club Championships, the European games, all the demands of that. I think United will just sneak in with Liverpool and City.
When you hear those compelling arguments, are you thinking, I wish I had Man United instead of Chelsea in my top four?
No. No. I think you've got to be very careful of getting carried away about one performance. And don't forget, they didn't win the game, they lost. And at no stage in the game did I think Manchester United were going to score a goal yesterday. I get what Gary's saying. I did think they played really well. Best I've seen them for a long time. There was pace, there was energy in the team. I think the front players they brought have got something, no doubt. But no, even though they had a lot of shots and we just seen David Raya make lots of saves, I didn't feel at any stage Man United were going to score a goal. And I just think that's a big jump from, 15th last season to 4th. I don't see that. And also, if I'm being honest, the manager's still got a lot to prove, really. And I think there's a lot of managers in this league who've done a lot more than he has in his... I think he's had about 40 games now for Man United. You think of Eddie Howe, think of Unai Emery. These are top managers. And, I don't see Manchester United that high now.
Interesting that you've both gone City second. You both sort of see them as danger lurking, if you like. We're going to move on to 5th and 6th for both of you. Both have got Newcastle involved in that top 6. Newcastle's interesting, isn't it? Because you feel like the story is not finished yet for this summer, and then we'll be clear about what they're going to look like.
Yeah, that's why I've probably Newcastle and Villa, who I really liked last season. I just feel they might not be. The PSR's killing them a little bit in terms of being able to invest freely. And I feel like they might just be... I think they'll have a good season. I think they'll do OK. But I just don't think they'll have that spark to get into 5th and into the Champions League and into 4th space. So, I didn't have Spurs, to be fair, in there like Carragher has. I've gone Chelsea. Because I think United are the one team that can break into the group more than Newcastle, more than Spurs, more than Villa, because they haven't got the European football. I do think it'll be a big advantage to United. And I think that's why they'll break into that group.
Is 6th too much to ask for Spurs, given the Champions League involvement as well?
Maybe, but I do think when you look at Spurs and Man United last season, I actually think Spurs have got some good players. I do believe that. When you look at sort of, the two centre-backs, Romero's signed a new contract today, hasn't he? Kudus has come in as a good player. I think they will be active as well in this transfer market in the last couple of weeks, maybe get a couple of more players in. I was thinking about Aston Villa, to be honest. That was the decision, Newcastle, Spurs, Aston Villa. Where would I find those three teams? And I've just gone for Spurs, because looking at Villa at the weekend, it just feels... Well, it's the same team. They haven't really bought anyone, have they? Except maybe the backup striker, the top end of the pitch. And I'm not sure they're going to get too much more in because of the PSR situation. But I do think Spurs will probably get another couple of players in. So I just went for them. And one of the reasons, you talk about European football, I think because now, and this is one of the reasons why, I think Aston Villa are in the Europa League, aren't they? I think they'll go far in that. So I think that their European campaign will really kick on in the second half of the season. I'm not sure Newcastle and Spurs will, in terms of the Champions League. You don't drop into the Europa League no more. If you don't make the cut, you're basically out, aren't you? So I'm not sure Newcastle and Spurs will have too much European football after Christmas.
Yeah, I think that's a significant point you made on Romero as well, that he's now been made captain. Everyone thought he was leaving, and a big new contract for him. When we talked about surprise European contender, the sort of challenge we set the guys was, think about Nottingham Forest last season and how they had an impact on things. And we can see what they think Forest of last season might look like this season with our surprise European contender. And Gary, you think it looks like...
United. The insults just continue to rain.
Or you could just read that as actually he's got you 7th, which is not a million miles away from things, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it was 7th, I'd have put Villa. So I didn't read surprise European contender as being a team that obviously, should finish in Europe, which obviously I think United,
Villa...
Right.
You didn't surprise European contender. It was the surprise European contender last season.
Well, would it not be a big surprise this season for Forest to be there again, given that they are involved in Europe as well?
For Forest to repeat what they did last year would be a massive... it would be a massive result for them. I think that was a massive overreach and overperformance last year. They were punching well above their weight. So for me, for Forest to go in again would be a big surprise. But I actually think they've got a lot of very good players there, and they've got a good system of play. I think it's an efficient system of play that I think can win a lot of football matches. And I really like Nottingham Forest. Let me back in.
Feelings are mutual. You're going about it the right way. I'm putting words into your mouth there, but Manchester United, do you have them as 7th, as high as that?
I mean, I'm forgetting now. So how far down does Europa League go? It goes to probably 7th or 8th.
Well,
I mean, there's nine teams,
stage,
isn't there? I think 9 teams in Europe this season. I think a club of the stature of Man United, with no European football, the fact that they brought big players in Cunha and Buemo on there, goalkeepers maybe going to come in. If Man United aren't challenging for Europe, that's not acceptable.
But you have Villa above them right now?
I just think Unai Emery's a better manager than what Manchester United have got. I think he's a top manager. He's come in and every season he's been there or thereabouts in terms of European football. So, yeah.
Right, who's going down? We've had a late change I can reveal tonight. There is always a little bit of recency bias involved with these predictions. This was very recent, about 5 minutes ago. And it came from Gary because, let me get this right, Gary, you had Brentford in your bottom 3 with Burnley and Wolves, and now Leeds, who've won tonight, have replaced them in your bottom 3. What has not convinced you about Leeds this evening?
It's not about what's convinced me. I think Brentford have been consistent in this league. I don't want them to go down. I don't want Leeds to go down. I think Leeds will be great in the Premier League.
Do you want to go
down? No, I don't want anyone to go down, to be fair. I hate predicting relegation because it's obviously something that's a negative. I just don't think Burnley will have enough. When I watch Leeds tonight, look, I don't know who they're going to sign in this next couple of weeks, and it's obvious that Daniel Farke, their manager, and their owner before said that they were going to sign players. So they could sign 2 or 3 players and that could change my mind in this next couple of weeks. That's the sort of unfair situation we're in.
Why is Sunderland avoiding trouble?
I thought I saw something on Saturday that was beyond just passion. I thought there was a physicality, a quality to them, a strength. I thought it was a good performance. And I think that maybe this could be the year for Wolves. Look.
I'm like that with Wolves. To be honest, I look at that and it's easy to put the 3 promoted teams there. It is, and I'm just so desperate for someone to stay up. I don't want to be talking about the 3 teams going down. So I think Leeds, just in terms of Ellen Road, really, they've got to win tonight. I'd already obviously chosen this before the game. I'm always desperate for the Leeds or somebody to stay up. So it was almost who else am I going to choose? And am I sitting here convinced that Wolves will get relegated? Not really. I think the manager's top. I think he's a really, really good manager, but they have lost some big players. And obviously, Ait Nouri's gone, Semedo's gone, Cunha's gone as well. So they have lost big players, but I do think the manager's a really good manager.
Who else might get involved in this story at the bottom of the table? That's what we were asking around. Danger zone. And Gary, that became your Brentford.
Yeah, but I had West Ham. When I had Brentford going down, I had West Ham in the danger zone. I think they'll really struggle this season. But I think it'll be tough for Brentford. You think of the players that they're going to lose, Vissa potentially as well. You know, that's eating a lot out of their team. And I mean, we've loved Brentford, haven't we, for these last few years? But I think this could be their toughest season.
West Ham, Jamie.
Yeah, just watching the game again at the weekend, and it wasn't a great end to last season. The team just looks slow and old, and this is something I think we were highlighting a lot last season, but the lack of legs in midfield really stood out. And against the promoted teams to get ran over like that, the way they did, lose the physical challenges. Obviously, we did the analysis in the first hour and a half, 90 minutes before the game, and I think it's going to be tough for them.
Experienced backline. I mean, obviously, he did the goals early. We did it from the Sunderland perspective and how good it was for them. But West Ham just dropping that 3 or 4 yards too deep into their own box. That's basics. You see a lot of these teams now pushing up to the halfway line, but a lot of these teams now, they don't make the mistake of dropping back that 2 or 3 yards into their own box. But they've got to get up.
Sorry, Gary. But to surmise, when I'm looking at that relegation pitch in the danger zone, it feels like you've both got an idea that there is a bit more hope for the promoted clubs this season than perhaps last season.
It may be because we're just sick of the same things happening every year. We might just want to see it happen so that basically we need, look, the game needs, the Premier League needs, the Championship needs a club that comes up to stay up. If it happens again, you know, I said to you before, it's worrying because we're creating basically almost like a fixed league and we can't have that by default.
We asked our fanlists as well to predict where their club would finish this season, and we can reveal all. We got 3 champions. Arsenal, Liverpool and City fans all think, on average, that their team will win the league this season. Chelsea fans also pretty confident. They've got their team in 3rd place. Villa 5th, slightly more confident than Spurs, Newcastle and Manchester United.
No one's going down.
6th. Brighton, we haven't had a mention around this, but, you know, they had a really good season last year. Lost 1 or 2 players still, but they've be a folly to rule them out, wouldn't it? Everton and Forest predicting their teams finishing top half, along with Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. And down at the bottom, well, no one's getting relegated, Gary, as you said. So, but Burnley probably slightly more pessimistic than the rest. Maybe that's just a feature of what's happened before for them. Do you think that they've done a bit less than Leeds and Sheffield United in the summer? Sunderland.
Burnley, yeah, I mean, I watched the whole game. They did all right, Burnley. I think if you look at that result and think Tottenham, 3-0, we showed the goals, some great goals. For a lot of the game, Burnley did okay. It wasn't sort of, they were getting peppered and they couldn't get out. It wasn't like that at all. They had a lot of counter-attacks. But again, as we saw a little bit with Leeds tonight, once they get to that final third, that quality's just not there. And that's what makes the biggest difference. And that was a problem for Burnley at the weekend in the, at the Tottenham game. Tottenham played well, of course they did, but Burnley weren't sort of massively short. So hopefully they can be competitive. That's what we need. It's not even about the three clubs just going down. I said this before the game. The highest points anyone's got in the last 2 years is 26 points. We used to always talk about 40 points. It was never 40 points. It's always around the mid-30s mark. But the 10 or 12 points short. That's even for Luton with the highest number. It's not enough. These teams need to be getting to mid-30s to give themselves a fighting chance.
If we just go back to that, I'm trying to think of which fans I disagree with. It talks you about fans being honest. If you just go back to that previous graphic, the only club that I would say, from a fan's perspective, that to me look like they're sort of what would be potentially over-egging their position there. Because you're not going to get Wolves, Sunderland, Leeds and Burnley fans saying we're going down. So they've been realistic and said they're going to finish just outside the relegation. I think Everton fans saying they're finishing 9th is the only one that I look at and think that is optimistic at this moment in time.
Maybe it was on the back of David Moyes saying they were going to get 10 signings and they've
look, if they got
that.
signings in the next couple of weeks, maybe, but I think at the moment, that off tonight's performance, that would be optimistic.
All right, well, let's get back to our awards, our predictions. And we'll go to the players now. And top scorer, well, no surprises there, perhaps. Have you just predicted him every year? Is that
we have done, yeah. And listen, Salah had his, arguably his greatest season last season, or certainly on par with his first season at Liverpool. I think it would be difficult to replicate that, but Haaland is just...
He's the best centre-forward, Haaland.
Yeah, I mean, the way he took his second goal... Yeah. I mean, I said this morning in the production meeting. People in the last sort of year or so, it's become like Isak is the best striker, or the people say all-round striker. Because we talk about Haaland maybe being a one-trick pony, just getting goals. He's not. Haaland's the best centre-forward in the Premier League. That's just, I know it's just about goals and maybe he doesn't get involved at different times, but his numbers goals-wise are off the scale. Haaland is the best centre-forward.
I spent about 7 or 8 years saying Aguero should score 40 goals every season. He's that good. And I think the same with Haaland. He just, with the amount of chances he gets, he should be scoring 40 goals. He's that good. I mean, he won't, but he should be.
We could get pretty close with the quality that's around him.
Even in the Premier League, he should be scoring more than a goal a game. He's that good, him.
Impact signing. There've been a lot this summer. That's been the real feature of this Premier League summer, hasn't it? The amount of new players that have come in. Jamie's gone with Wirtz and Gyökeres for Gary. Interesting. What did you make of his debut at Manchester United and the discussion that sort of followed afterwards around him?
Look, I thought he made some runs. I didn't think he was found at times. I didn't think they played passes into him or crosses into him that suited him. I thought he caused De Ligt problems in moments in the game. I thought De Ligt had a brilliant game against him and really man-marked him well. I think he'll cause massive issues. He's what Arsenal need up there. He's what they need. Look, was he brilliant yesterday? No, but I think that for me, I saw things that would mean that it was his first game in the Premier League away at Old Trafford. Going to Manchester United for teams from London like Arsenal and Chelsea, it's tough. Just like it is for Manchester teams going to Arsenal and Chelsea. It's bloody hard work to come up to Manchester and up to Merseyside and win and play well. Thierry Henry used to come to Old Trafford and sometimes not get a kick. That happened quite a bit. The idea that he's gone there yesterday in a tough game, I think he did all right.
Go on, I was going to ask you about Wirtz.
Yeah, I just think it's a deal that is probably brilliant for the Premier League in that, I mean, how often do we see a player not go to Bayern Munich from the Bundesliga who looks like the top player? They always go to Bayern Munich. So for Liverpool to get that deal done, I think was fantastic. And he got brought off on Friday night and probably wasn't at his absolute best, but he still had some silky, lovely touches that he just, when you go and watch him play, there's something there. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with him sort of next weekend. I'm already thinking of the Liverpool team next Monday. I think he might actually play as always the false nine, or Liverpool don't go there actually with a striker with him playing there. But no, I think with Kevin De Bruyne going, we needed a superstar in that position to come into the league, and I think he might be that.
Player to watch, we were thinking along the lines of, a young player that may have just arrived or is coming through. And we asked our finalists to recommend one, finalists of each club to recommend somebody that might help our guys make their choice. So we sort of gave you this list, gentlemen, and let's just let people soak that in for a second. There might be some unfamiliar names to one or two. Tierno Barry, we didn't get to see too much of. His time will come in an Everton shirt. Anton Stach, we saw taking corners for Leeds United this evening. Let's have a look then. Let's move on to what they have gone for off that list. Truffert, the new left-back for Bournemouth, and Estevao, who made quite an impact, Jamie, without scoring or creating an assist for Chelsea yesterday.
Well, I think he's already got Brazil caps. I think I'm right in saying that. He was fantastic in the Club World Cup against Chelsea, a few weeks ago as well. So I think at the end of the game, all the players are coming up to him, talking to him. He came on yesterday. I watched the Chelsea game yesterday, and he made a difference when he came on, and he looks pretty special. I think in a few pre-season games as well in the last couple of weeks that they've played well. He's done particularly well as well.
He looks such a baby, doesn't he? He's just 18. But...
And he looked... What I saw from Chelsea's wide players, and I've had this criticism of Chelsea when they're bringing players in, that sometimes I don't feel like there's been that much of an upgrade. It's almost like swapping for swapping's sake. But listen, he's still a young player. He's obviously not the finished article, but he does look like one of them where you're thinking, I don't think it'll be too long before he's first choice, where he feels like he has to play. And it almost felt like they had to bring him on at the weekend. And he made a difference. So, I think he's probably got a decent chance of being involved on Friday night.
Potential superstar. His first interview, by the way, with he did speak to Natalie Jedra after the game on Sunday, and you can see that on Sky Sports YouTube channel right now, or when we've finished. Truffert, caught your eye.
Yeah, I was going to go for Reinders because he was outstanding, but I think it would be probably too obvious after what we saw at the weekend. But actually, I was watching Bournemouth-Liverpool on Friday night. I have to say that if you're looking at a left-back on the pitch that was the best one, it was the one wearing the Bournemouth shirt.
The one that replaced Carragher.
Carragher looked, like he was a little bit rash. Obviously, his first game at Anfield, so you've got to get time for him to settle in. But Truffert was absolutely brilliant, and I couldn't take my eyes off him.
Is that the model of a very well-run football club?
Yeah.
That you try and sell high, and you get the next one in.
Yeah, and
away.
Look, Carragher was outstanding, wasn't he, for Bournemouth? And obviously Liverpool had their eyes on him for a long time, just to sort of take over from Andy Robertson. I think Andy Robertson's going to play a lot of football this season, and I think Truffert will really emerge. He looked outstanding on Friday night, I felt. So
there are your players to watch. What about a manager to perhaps outperform expectations in this Premier League season?
Why are you laughing?
You pick the Man United manager every year on that.
I don't pick him every year.
You picked 3 last year, and one of them was the man Ten Hag.
The reason last year is a similar reason to this. Ten Hag last year, because I knew that if he started badly, he'd be under massive pressure. Similarly, if Ruben Amorim, there's probably going to be no in between here. Ruben Amorim, if he starts off badly and they're in 13th, 14th in October, November, is going to be under massive pressure. He's the Manchester United manager. He has to deliver in these first few months of the season, and I think he will outperform. I think he'll emerge. I know you're not.
Outperform what? You've got them fourth.
No, well, exactly. I know you're not sure about him, and you sort of wrote your article the other day saying that you think that he's not that good. But I think that he's got. I think he did. Well, you said that basically.
Can't you read me?
What was the article about?
It was about the 2 managers, Arteta and Amorim. Amorim would be delighted if he was in Arteta's position in 3 or 4 years.
Oh, absolutely. So this season, I think the manager to watch is the United manager. All eyes are on him. Can he do it? He had a horrible start to his United career. He didn't want the job partway through last season.
Do you not think because of that he gets this season, whatever happens?
Oh no, I don't think it'll be that easy. I think if he's down in sort of, bottom half of the table, I think he'll be under massive pressure.
But what Marcus Rashford said the other day, Manchester United have got to come up with a plan and stick with it somewhere, haven't they?
Let's ignore that because I don't want to go into Marcus Rashford comments tonight. He was there at the club for 10 years, had his opportunity to impact the club. Ruben Amorim this year, I think, will do a good job. I think.
So you don't
Marcus
agree with whoever said it? You don't agree with the general point that they need to come up with something? They've come up with this plan, this way of playing, this formation, and actually just sticking with it?
No, but yesterday was the first time that I watched that formation out on Old Trafford where I thought, right, we've got a chance here. That worked. He got a few different players in. He got Mount back, got Luke Shaw in at left centre back. That helped. And I think that for the first time, it's a difficult system. We said that it's a rare system in terms of unique players that are specialists. But when you saw Cunha yesterday and then Burmo playing, you saw Mount play, you saw Shaw at left centre-back, all of a sudden there was a balance. Casemiro looks a better player all of a sudden. He looked, just straight away, he looked like a better player. So Dorgu looks like he's doing that up and down on the left.
It was one game. It was one game. Oh my God.
I've been asked to make a prediction of a manager to watch.
I know. What I'm saying is, it was one game.
Against Arsenal, the best team in the league, nearly.
I know, you've played well. One game. I mean, the fella I'm talking about, Glasner. I mean, he's been doing it for how long now? How long has he been?
Why are you
18
watching
months.
him?
I'm watching because I think he's a top manager.
He's a top manager.
And he plays the same system.
It's not one to watch, though, is it?
And you're talking about specialists. It's very difficult, Crystal Palace, to get specialists. You know, a club of probably that stature. Won the FA Cup, going into Europe, watching them yesterday against Chelsea, watching them against Liverpool Community Shield, watching them, the teams they beat Man City in the FA Cup final. I mean, he knows that system inside out. We're looking at two managers who play the same system. That guy, Glasner, definitely knows that system right now better than Ruben Amorim.
I don't think the question, though, is who's the fantastic manager. We know that Glasner's done an absolutely unbelievable job. That it's the manager to watch.
Perhaps one to watch in the sense that he's got a really tough job on his hands of these coming weeks and season. Glasner.
So is Amorim. Amorim's got the toughest job in English football. That's why he's the one to watch. Last season,
just pick the man you like.
You could probably put another 3 or 4 in there.
Last season, I had the manager to watch was arneSlot and Eric Ten Hag.
And there was 3, there was another one.
Maresca, right? Because there was massive pressure on these 3 managers. Slot taking over from Klopp, and Ten Hag obviously kept his job by the skin of his teeth. And if he didn't obviously do well, he would get sacked, and he did. And Maresca was under massive pressure towards the end at Chelsea and got over the line. So there was 3 managers. I wanted to watch them because they were all under big pressure.
What did Meatloaf say? 2 out of 3.
I don't know, what did he say? I think we'll leave it there. Well done. You managed to get through it.
I'll see you in May.
It was a little bit like pulling teeth. It's getting harder, I think, actually every year to get predictions out of you guys.
Do you know the last?
Well, you know what it's like, because who's going to be signed in the next 2
Dave,
weeks?
do you know that we did an assessment earlier of the last 5 years of predictions, and I actually am 3-2 up in terms of predictions. It's as if he sits here like cocky and confident that he wins every year. He doesn't.
But you know what? I'm more consistent. I'm like Mikel Arteta. I've got a lot of points over a few years.
That's honestly
6 out of 10 every week. Well done.
I was like that as a player. Doing all right.
I'm quite confident with my predictions, actually.
We will hold you to account. Don't worry.